Happy Thursday, everyone. Come on in. Let's get started. It's third Thursday of February. Can you believe it? We were just together in January. Time is completely flying by. I am so excited that you all have joined us today. And you know the drill. Drop in the chat. Where are you listening from today? Where are you right now? Are you in Nashville? Are you in Alabama? Are you in Atlanta? Oh, Chicago. I'm going to Chicago tomorrow. Please warm it up for me. Oh, okay. Where are you listening? Ohio. It's cold there. Okay. Before we get to our usual question today, I'm going to ask this. What's your temperature? Like literally, what's your temperature? Because in Atlanta, it's 27 degrees and we had snow flurries. So I want to know, 10 degrees. I'm not seeing anything over 34. So let us know what you're having for lunch today. And while you're doing that, I just want to say on behalf of SBC 21, we are so excited that you have decided to join our Leadership for Lunch and Learns. Every third Thursday, we're here at 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Central. And we're excited. We try to bring you the best because you are the best. So today we are going to talk about balance. I already know that you all have issues with balance. I already know that you're dealing with trying to balance between work and family, self-care, life, the kids, the church, all of that. I already know. I already know. So you know my motto, I'm not taking up a lot of time because I want our presenter to have as much time as possible. So today I want to introduce you to one of my dear friends, my little sister, Tiffany Jones, Mrs. Tiffany Jones, formerly Tiffany Nunnally. You know, I don't take a lot of time to talk about who she is because you have the opportunity to take a look at it. So I will drop that in the chat, but I want to make sure that you all get to learn about her. And after you hear her today, you're going to start asking more questions. So we'll make sure at the end she tells us how to find her. So you got your ears open. I think Tiffany said we're going to need some paper, pen and paper. So if you got yours, I got mine. And let's hear what the Lord has to say through Mrs. Tiffany Jones. Welcome, Tiff.
Thank you so much, Candi. I want to thank you and the SBC family for having me here. I'm super excited to speak with all of you.
Thank you.
Yes, it's cold here in Georgia, and we are managing all the things. So my hope is that you will leave this session with understanding how to better take care of yourself holistically and how to make some new decisions in 2025 to bring you the balance that you have been looking for. One of the things that you're going to hear me say throughout this presentation is that we don't balance, we decide. See, I don't believe that there's any level of true balance that we can have in life, but as we have different seasons in life, we are flexible and we make new decisions to accommodate what we need in the season. And so I hope to help you become more self-aware of what you need right now, this year, in this moment, and that you will move towards more holistic wellness and overall just fulfillment in life. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so this is going to be a dialogue, y'all. It's not a monologue, so talk back to me. I'm an Amazon #1 best-selling author, a credentialed life coach, a speaker, and I'm also a ministry leader. I have a Bible study that I do every first Thursday, and we know as believers in Jesus Christ that we're all serving as disciples, as his followers, and we're all having some form of ministry, even if it's not in the pulpit, it's with our family, it's with what we do in our work each and every day. And managing our full-time jobs in addition to the work that we do for Christ. So look, it's all ministry. So we are going to be talking about working for a holistic wellness and self-care lifestyle in the midst of all that we have to do. So I'm going to start with a question. So, according to a recent study with Barna, which is an organization that does studies for churches, what percentage of pastors report that work-related stress has been one of the top reasons they have considered quitting full-time ministry? So, this means work-related stress has been so significant to their life, to their health, that they have actually considered quitting full-time. You can drop it in the chat or you can say it out loud. So what percentage do you think? 100%, 90, 75, 60, 60, 70, 65. Okay, so for everyone who's in the 60s, the answer is 56%. This was a 2022 survey where they asked church leaders, pastors, and 56% said that they considered quitting full-time ministry because of the amount of stress. Okay, so that is just so significant. So is that true? Do you all believe that? Do it sounds like it? Some of you guys are saying 100% and 90%. Is that something that shows up a lot for you? Yes. Yep, I believe it. Candi. Yep, you believe even more. Yep. And this Barna group, they conducted over 2 million interviews uh for the studies that they produce. More. Wow. Wow. So stress is a big thing. So that's why we're here. It's a need for it. And this is stress and burnout, y'all. It not only impacts our health, right? It impacts our performance. And our performance then impacts our family, our team, and our congregation. So I want you to understand that there's a cost. We obviously know that people don't get our best when we're running on empty, but there's a cost to not managing stress in general. There's a cost to not living a balanced life, so to speak, not being intentional about managing your stress. And it's not just your health, but we know that there's so many health issues that come directly from stress. But every day it's affecting our performance, it's affecting our home life, it's affecting our team life, it's affecting our congregation. And guess what? Whatever's going on in the inside of you is then impacting your family's performance, your family's health, your family's work experience, and so forth as it relates to your team and the congregation, right? So it really is from like the top down. I believe that when the leader is thriving, the team is thriving, the family is thriving, the congregation is thriving. So that's the goal here, is to call out the real cost of becoming so stressed and eventually burnt out that it not only is affecting you, but to understand that it's affecting everyone behind you in those same areas: health, performance, etc. Okay, so if you're at home, you're driving, you just put it in the chat. I will manage my stress before it becomes a mental strain, because we all understand that stress is just a part of life, and we can have internal and external stresses. Internal stress will could be just us not prioritizing, right? Or maybe procrastinating, I should say, waiting to the last minute. And external stress is like, I can't control the workload. I can't control what's happening in politics and how it's affecting me. Stress is going to happen, but the goal is can I practice managing the everyday stress that I get before it becomes a mental strain, before it starts showing up as anxiety, before I start having concentration issues, before I'm having trouble remembering. Can I be proactive about managing it? So I'm going to talk to you about 3 different ways to do that, to boost your self-care and to manage your stress. But I want you to write this down. I want you to say it to yourself. I will manage stress before it becomes a mental strain. Because once it starts to become a mental strain, y'all, it's been sitting there for long enough, not being managed, and it starts to take physical form in our body. And that's what we actually feel, those symptoms. That's the manifestation of it over time. And the illness, that comes from that as well. All right. So the three ways that we're going to talk about. Way number one, increasing your self-awareness, increasing your self-awareness. Number two, increasing what I like to call soul care. We're going to talk more about that. And implementing self-care in the workday. Okay. How to stop it before it becomes a mental strain. We're going to talk about that. So you just hold that question, Dewan. I'm coming to you. How to stop it before we become a mental strain. Yep. You'll walk away with several ways to stop it before it becomes a mental strain. I promise. Thank you for your question. All right, let's jump into way number one, increasing our self-awareness. And so when I talk about self-awareness, I'm going to talk about stress levels. Like, okay, we got to know the source of stress. So right now, I want you guys to pause and think about a source of stress in your life. Think about a source of stress in your life. You can even drop it in the chat if you want. So here is how to recognize when it's too much stress. So Dewan, this is answering your question a bit. How do I stop it before it becomes a mental strain? First, you got to recognize when it's become too much. You know, situations where you're dealing with stress, but we're not always aware of, until it's too late that it's too much stress. I've had situations. I'm just gonna be honest. I have a senior dog, and when I tell you, like, I've literally had a nervous breakdown this week with my dog because he's getting older. He's up 13 plus years, and he is just breaking down, and it's just so much work. It's just so much work, and I just love him so much, and I'm just trying to give him all this attention, and he's really just having a hard time. I mean, he's just getting older, and it's like taking care of a elderly person, and I'm just really having a hard time. And I didn't realize how much stress it was until I just like was crying, about, the dog. And so I want you guys to think about a stressor. And Dewan said a stressor for me is all the work that has to be done to bring the church I serve relevance. Believe to bring all the excuse me, a stressor for me is all the work that has to be done to bring the church I serve relevance and wholeness to serve our community well. Absolutely. So whatever your stress is, I just want you to kind of think about that stress in this moment and then think about how it's affecting you. So there's a difference between good stress and bad stress. So good stress is when you ask yourself these questions: is it short or is it temporary? Is it short term, excuse me, or is it temporary? Is this something in my life that I have the ability to control and I can improve upon? Does it feel doable? Will enduring this stress lead to personal satisfaction? So, Dewan, I believe you're experiencing some good stress, right? Because if you're able to bring the relevance to the church, if you're able to bring the wholeness to the community, and you see change as a result of the work that you're doing, that's going to bring you some type of satisfaction. So is it short term? Is it something that you can control and that you can improve upon? Does it feel doable? Is enduring this stress, can it lead to personal satisfaction? Those are some questions to ask yourself as you are thinking about the stress in your life that you're dealing with right now. All right, let's talk about bad stress. Is it long term, lasting for weeks or months with no sign of letting up? No sign of letting up. Is it impacting my physical health, irritability, headaches, trouble sleeping, memory problems, prolonged sadness, not just for a moment, like you're carrying this heaviness and this weight, anxiety. Okay? This may be bad stress if you're asking yourself these questions, and the answer is yes. Have you said to yourself, this isn't good for me? Sometimes we whisper those words of honesty and vulnerability to ourselves, and we need to hear ourselves today. this isn't good for me. You've said that about something in your life. And we're not just talking about work-related stress, y'all. The purpose of this conversation is to look at our life holistically, right? We want to practice holistic wellness and balance everything that we have in life, because we're not just leaders. We're not just pastors. We're also mothers and fathers and spouses and some of us even work other jobs. So we have multiple hats. So whatever the stress is, have you ever said to yourself, this isn't good for me? Even in relationships, right? Or maybe the question is, have I needed something to help me relax or cope? We're just keeping things real here, right? Have I needed to take a Tylenol? Have I needed to take something to help me deal with this too often? Has it affected my ability to focus? Is it negatively impacting my home life and or family? Okay. So now, as we talk about self-awareness as a form of self-care, I now know you should be walking away knowing whether or not you're dealing with good stress or bad stress. You're answering honestly to these questions, and it should move you to make a decision so that you can manage things before it becomes a strain any longer, right? Or if it's good stress, it encourages you to pursue it, knowing that there is, it may not be an end completely to it, like, providing relevance to the church is something ongoing, but knowing the personal satisfaction that you get from the work is enough, right? Knowing that making progress on the goals that you have towards bringing the community wholeness and relevance, meeting those goals will help you continue in your efforts. So again, we don't balance, we decide. So it's making decisions. Now that you have this information, you need to move towards a decision. So as we talk about our life becoming more balanced, let's take a moment. It's a new year. It's a perfect time to assess what areas of your life need to be balanced. So there's many different areas of life. There's financial, there's family, there's social. One of the areas that I know that I am, as I took this assessment, I take it every year and I give it to my clients, is I'm going to improve in community. Community is a goal for me this year. Is getting back connected with and plugged into community. Sometimes it's all work and it's no play. It's all serving in our roles, and we don't have any areas in our lives where we're just simply being ourselves and just enjoying. We're not showing up for a role. We're just being Tiffany or Dewan or whoever you are, right? And so I want you guys to think about what areas of your life need more balance, and not just really think about it. I want to do what we call a life balance wheel assessment. So what this is, it shows you the correlation between different areas in your life. And we know that in order for a wheel to roll, it must be round. So the same is true in life. The more round your wheel is, the more quote unquote balanced your life is. But what this really is going to show you is where the gaps are. And it's going to show you how your wheel, so to speak, looks, right? And if you're even tapping some areas. So I want everyone to rate themselves in each area, with one being the lowest, meaning complete absence. There is complete absence of a social life in your life, and that would be a 1 to 10. It's at the ideal state. I'm completely satisfied in that area. And so I'm going to give you all a few minutes and let you drop your numbers in the chat. Once you finish your numbers, don't drop your numbers in the chat. I'm going to give you a few minutes to let you rate each area. And then I want you to tell me which one you scored the highest in. We'll start there. All right, when you're finished with your wheel, now we're gonna start with which one we're doing. Let's talk about which one we're doing the best at. Professional, spiritual, and family. Okay, makes sense for this group, right? Makes sense for us. Profession. Okay. It's so funny. So many of us have profession. Work is, we're worker bees in America. Profession is satisfying. I'm retired. Awesome. Family and spiritual. Okay, Carolyn. All right. So anyone have an area that they wanted to improve upon? You may have more than one, but if you think about like this was complete absence, I haven't even looked at this area in my life. Drop it in the chat, an area that you want to improve upon. And for this year, you know, and I want to reiterate that it's okay not to have your will to be perfect because certain moments of life require certain priorities. And certain areas in our lives may be a higher priority. You may have things going on at work right now that you have deadlines. You know, it's a specific time for this. You know, this is a crucial time period where you guys have to get things done. Maybe you moved, you just started a new church. You have to focus right on your ministry. You have to focus on building your congregation and all that entails. And so it's okay for the wheel not to be perfectly round. This is just to provide you some insight, but you have to understand that okay, it's not round. This makes sense because it's this season of my life and it needs higher priority. Yet I know how I feel. I know what I want and I get to create my life. And so I'm going to pay attention to these areas that I'm not touching at all or that I really want to improve on. Does that make sense? Yes, absolutely. So personal, somebody said, when you say more about personal category, does that refer to personal time? Yes, personal time for yourself has, you know, just spending time with yourself, maybe taking good care of yourself, not as it relates to anything that you're doing, but how much attention you're personally giving to yourself. Is balance a delusion that we strive for? In a very real way, it is a delusion because think about it, we will never have complete balance. We can never have a 10 at all times, but we can have a life that is fulfilling where we're at least touching all of these areas of life. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, balance, I may not be a 10 in every area of my life, in every season of my life, but I am always touching an area, you know, at every point in my life. Because all of this matters, y'all. Our family matters, our social life matters, you know, giving back to the community, being connected to the community. And some of these can tie together, like our profession, you can just that can come into community with the work that you do as leaders, right? And ministry leaders, personal recreation, you know, spiritual, all of these things matter. And so if you go too long and you never touch any of these things, that's when you are showing up with an unbalanced life. So it's not a delusion, but it's just like things need to have a priority. And it's not going to be that way all the time. So it's really being discerning the season. All right. Recreation was my lowest. Recreation is my lowest as well. What's so funny also though is that for our children, we make sure they have recreation. Adults need recreation too. Adults need recreation too. That's good. All right. So we're becoming self-aware. I need recreation. I need to work on my finances. I need to what else am I here? Family and spiritual, right? I'm taking care of everyone else. I'm not taking care of myself. Social, right? So we're becoming more self-awareness. That is a form of self-care, is becoming aware so that you can make goals, right? To meet those needs. So that's what we're doing here. That's what we're talking about here. So here are some opportunities to receive more balance. So I did not go through every list, but feel free to take a screenshot of this and, you know, just to give you some ideas, some of the things that I share with my coaching clients and that have worked personally for me. For personal, sometimes it's having a personal project. You know, you may used to love to paint growing up and you start painting again and you're working on something. I'm an author, and so when I'm writing a book, it just makes me happy, you know. And I just believe that happy people have a project, y'all. I promise you, I believe it. I believe it, and it's not related to work. It's their thing. It's their thing. It's their creation. And so have a personal project. Also for personal, maybe it's just that, you know, I need to get more organized, right? This is just about me. So using a calendar so you can see how much you have on your plate and schedule based on your load. Successful people live by calendars. Y'all got to put things in your calendar so that you can see it. Maybe that's one of your goals. Family. And I'm sharing things that I've done that I know work, and some of my clients have just like, oh, Tiffany, I love this. So starting a mommy and daddy club for anyone that's a single parent. I recently got married, but when I was single, I started a mommy club. And so it was actually with my and you only need one person, you can have more, but it was with my daughter's best friend's mom, and we intentionally put them in the same practices together for dance. And we had this no guilt rule that at any time we can ask, hey, can you watch, my child, and we could share responsibility together and help each other. And so it's something that we've been doing for years. And it just helps so much. And so that's for dads as well. So starting a mommy and daddy club, investing in a new service. Maybe you need to invest in some help at home. Maybe you need to invest in a meal prep service, in the folding the clothes service, something to help you again with your balance, with your family life. Social, scheduling a reoccurring meeting to gather with friends. So some of us are saying, community and social. It's like, maybe every, third, Saturday you do something together, and then you go to brunch. I don't know, but just scheduling something and being intentional about that, or joining a community focused a gym. So a lot of us work out on our own, but our social life could be to intentionally become a part of a boot camp. Okay. And make friends. And that's something that's community focused. Usually when you're doing those exercises, you're working with someone else. So it's helping you to meet someone. So these are some things that I pray will help you with those areas. And you can think of others, but grab a screenshot of that. All right, last area of self-awareness. All right, so think about a time when you felt your best. What were you doing differently then? So this is a self-awareness question. And I want you to take the moment, I want you really to pause here and think when you felt better, when you felt like your life was more balanced, when you felt like your life was more fulfilled, when you felt like you were showing up as far as your performance and your health and for your family, like you felt like you were really thriving. You didn't feel burnt out. You didn't feel as stressed. What were you doing differently then? When do your coworkers, when does your team, your family, when do they get the best from you? When do they get the worst from you? Let me give you a real example. I am my best when I'm well rested. If I do not get a certain amount of hours of sleep, I am not good. I mean, it just never fails, y'all. If I'm 5 hours or less of sleep, I'm just not good for the day. I'm not my best. And when I don't have my morning time alone, when I wake up late and everyone is meeting me, with their demands, and the responsibility is waiting on me, and I don't have the time to have to myself, usually my day reflects it. So think about that. And it could be work. Dawn said I was advising students and I was writing more. Wow. So it could be the work that I was doing. So honestly, like I feel best when I am teaching, when I am coaching. I feel my best. So that's a sign too, like, okay, this is what really, and maybe I need to, put more of that in my ministry, right? And so think about it. Or maybe I need to put more of that in my day because I know it makes me feel better. Oh, Cheryl, my apologies for your loss. My condolences. Before I was widowed. And sometimes that's an external stress, like that's a life situation that we have to deal with, and that will take time. That will take time. And sometimes we just have to give ourselves time to heal, give ourselves time to open our hearts, and be in a new place, in a new space with people, right? Mm. Occasionally getting away for an extended weekend. I love what she said, extended weekend. We're going to talk about that, at a shore and reading a good book. When I exercise, I feel better. Same, 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 same. But this awareness, what you're writing in the chat, I don't want you all to forget it, because this is helping, this is going to improve your self-care and boost your overall wellness, because you are spending time in this hour recognizing what you need. And that's important. And that's important. And we don't slow down enough to think about, where am I? You looked at your will, you looked at your whole life. This is where I am. This is what I need. This is the area that's completely absent in my life. This is good stress. This is bad stress. Self-awareness and using the information that you're getting on this day. Yeah, and I want to share. I felt my best when my mom was here. My mom is deceased too, and I felt my best. And it took me a really long time to get to a feeling good without her. More self-care. I want you to switch your strategy. And so we, as believers in Christ, and as you know, working in our ministries, we're good with this. But I want you. It's very different from what the world how they look at self-care. I call it soul care. And so self-care versus soul care, I'm going to tell you the difference. This is how I want you to think about this. So the difference is that self-care is more reactive. Okay, meaning it's reactive, like, oh, I'm tired, my body's ache, let me go get a massage. It's usually at one time, it's as needed, it's unintentional, and it's for short periods of time. Okay, so it's like, oh, I gotta, I need to take a vacation, and I'm taking off Friday, I'm taking off Monday, because I just need a break, right? So it's reactive to how we feel, it's reactive to maybe stress or frustration. It's finally us saying, oh, you know what, I need to do that, right? It's really unintentional. It's not something that we think about doing. It's something we do as needed. I know y'all get my drift. So, but soul care, the difference is that this is a preventative way. This is a preventative soul care. The care that I give myself and nurturing my soul, this is preventative. This is what I do, ongoing, continuous, daily. I always need it. I always need it. Okay, not as needed. I always need it. That's why it's ongoing and it's continuous for me. And I'm intentional about it. I'm intentional about it. I think about it. I do it when I don't feel like I need it, because I know I always need it, and I'm intentional about that. And there's longer periods of time for preparation and restoration. So I'm not sure who put it in the chat, but somebody said an extended vacation. That's intentional. Like, no, I'm taking this amount of time. I'm extending that time out for restoration and preparation. So extension, right? More time. But this is longer periods of time. All right. So self-care, as the world sees it, and as I should say, in culture, we say it a lot, right? It's like self-care. We hear that. And I want us to focus more on soul care, because self-care, it really targets the body. When we think about self-care in our society and from a culture standpoint, and that's really 1/3 of the person, but the body isn't our single source of strength and restoration. And more so, what's happening in the body is a reflection of what's happening in our mind, our spirit, and our emotions. So what we're experiencing in the body is because of what's experiencing and what's happening in those unseen parts of ourselves. And so we're actually switching our strategy, switching our target to not focus solely on the body, but really paying attention to having preventative, ongoing, continuous nurturing of our minds, our wills, our spirits, and our emotions. So we're focusing on the whole person, and that's going to help us to reset our minds, re-energizing our bodies, and stabilizing our emotions. And soul care is associated with better health outcomes, greater longevity, less depression, suicide, and less substance use by science, research, and spiritual doctrine. So I say switch your strategy to more of a soul care. This is something that I'm doing all the time. It's ongoing, and I'm paying attention to those unseen parts, not just giving my body some rest, not just, and nothing's wrong with that, but ongoingly, I am feeding my mind something positive. Okay, let's talk about what soul care is. Ongoing, I am affirming myself. I'm speaking something good over myself. I'm practicing gratitude. I am waking up early to pour into myself first before I pour into anyone else, and having that prayer time, journaling. I'm spending time denying my flesh and building my spirit by fasting. I'm listening to calming music. I love Dappy T. Keys. He plays worship instrumental music. And I like to say, just like we have to sometimes when we're at a party and we turn on some music and you turn up because you know the music you put on, it makes you turn up. Sometimes we have to put on music that makes us turn down and calm down. And I love instrumental music, instrumental worship, where it's just like a piano playing, and it actually helps me to have a calmer spirit as I work and as I interact with people at work. And anytime I have a downtime driving in, I'm listening to something intentionally and I'm calm, or I'm intentionally silent so that I can hear from God. So I actually have days of silence where, of course I have to talk to people, but I try to, only talk when I have to. And I don't play any music. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening to myself. I'm listening to the Holy Spirit. I'm listening. I'm quiet. I'm quiet for a long period of time. And then when my family comes back home, but I've had this time with myself and God, and I'm intentional about that, just listening all day and letting him know, hey, I'm listening. I'm quiet today, listening for you. Right, reading our Bible, a daily devotional, or something. I actually have a line of journals called Good Days Start with God. And it actually, you don't only read a passage like most devotional journals. It actually helps you to study a portion of the scripture, and you target one area. So if you're in your life, season in your life where you're like persevering and it's a tough time, you lost a loved one, or it's just you feel like you want to give up and you don't, I actually have one that's focused specifically on hard times. And all of the scriptures in there are just helping you to concentrate on. I'm just focusing focusing my mind on scriptures and music. The music in there that it recommends is all focused on encouraging me not to give up. And you actually are writing and having journal prompts from what you read as well. And you're targeting one area, and it's 30 minutes. And you get it done. And so some type of devotional journal, something that you're reading and working with, and you can find me on It's Tiffany Nunnally. Excuse me, I got married. It's Tiffany Jones on IG, and the link in my bio can give you access to those journals if you're interested. The Calm app is great. Deep breathing is great. Just reading and really putting something positive in your mind each and every day and being intentional about that. Not waiting until I'm dealing with a whole bunch of negative thoughts and I'm dealing with moments of silence. No, I'm preventative. I'm always feeding my mind the word of God, because the word says that man shall not eat by bread alone. So just like I fuel this body, I'm going to fuel my spirit. I'm going to fuel my emotions. I'm going to fuel myself each and every day. So those are some practical things that you can do for soul care. And I'm gonna drop my IG handle there as well. And y'all be patient with me for the two names. I just got married December 29th, so it's taken me a minute to update my branding. Okay, let's talk about this workday, because let's be honest, the real stressor is the workload for most of us. Most of the time, it's the workload. Most of the time, when we about to burn out, it's because of our workload. So let's increase self-care in the workday. So here are some self-care pointers that impact your workday and your workload. Okay, so I put them in different groups: delegate and batch. These are some of the questions I want you to ask yourself. Am I the only person that can do this? Is there someone who can do this task better? Is there someone who's better suited for this task? Do I need a team? Do I need to delegate? Okay. Can I delegate certain days to certain activities and batch activities? I'll tell you, when I was growing my ministry, one of the things that I did while I was working full time was and I still work full time, but one of the things that I do and I continue to do, or did and I continue to do, is I batch certain tasks batch certain activities. So it's called batching. So for example, you will say, you know what, on depending on what the activity is, you'll say, this is what I'm going to do on Mondays. And so I would only take clients Mondays and Thursdays, right? And my business day was Thursday, like, and so I always had traction on something because I only did it that day. Sunday was a prep day, Sunday was prepping, looking at my calendar for the week, everything prep. After church, everything prep. What do I have on the work schedule this week? What do I have on the family schedule this week? Making my meals for the week. Sunday, not going anywhere. Sorry, can't go. Sunday is my prep day. Monday and Wednesday, I don't have to think about, oh, do I have a client Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday? Because I only schedule them those days. So I want you guys to think about your life and what can you batch. It sometimes helps us not to think about things so often because our brain goes to, okay, this is that day, I can do that. So there may be some pieces in your ministry work and your workload that you can batch only on specific days. So you'll always have traction on it. You're doing different things, different days of the week. But when that day comes up, you're always going there. And it just gives your mind a bit of rest. And again, it helps you to continue, so you don't have to think about it, but it's helping you to continue to get traction on those goals over time. So batching activities and delegating. Sometimes we have to give it up. You can do it, but can somebody do it better? Or can somebody else just do it? And it's okay. It'll get done, and you can provide feedback, but the work will be done. Right? So let's ask ourselves those serious questions about delegating and looking at our tasks and seeing if we can batch certain tasks in our workday. Okay? Prioritizing. Have I made a list of what needs to be done before I start the day? Every day, y'all, if y'all looked at my notes here at home, every day I start the day with dumping what needs to be done and prioritizing the high impact or the ones that have a deadline. Okay, so have I made a list of what needs to be done before I start the day? Which are my high impact tasks and should be listed as top priority? Grab a screenshot of this one as well, y'all. Okay, taking breaks. Do I need to block off my calendar to make sure I remember to take at least one break during the day? When I say the area that you're gonna, look at, y'all, drop it in the chat. This is one that has saved me so much time. Blocking off my calendar. And it's so, we know this, we've heard it before, but it's the new year. It might be time to put it back on the calendar. You may have had it for 24 and 23, but 25 showed up and you forgot to put that block back on your calendar. Block that calendar. Yes, Candi, block that calendar. You need to take at least one break a day. And if you're not in a capacity to take at least one break a day, you really need to think about that. You really need to think about the amount of stress that is over a long period of time. Some days, yeah, you may not take a break, but as we were talking about good stress and bad stress, if most days you're not able to take a break and you can't communicate with someone that you need a break and that be received, that's something that you need to think about. That's a decision that you have to make because that's long term. That's not healthy. That's not healthy. Most days, that's not healthy for long periods of time. Okay. So if you can, block that calendar, as Candi said. Do I need food? Okay. How often do I skip lunch? Can I prep my meals? Can I hire a service to support me? Do I need rest? Do I need to take more vacations or longer vacations? And then the last one, setting boundaries. Do I have a plan for reoccurring stress? Please write this out and take a picture of this one and remember this one. If there's something that's stressing you out and is reoccurring, we discovered that that was bad stress. Do you have a plan? Do you have a plan? What can you do about it? Do I need to shut off work at a certain time each day and communicate it to my team and encourage them to do the same? And the last, I have to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus because he's the ultimate example and he practiced wellness. He spent 40 days alone in the wilderness. He faced temptation, but as soon as he finished, he began his 3-year ministry. His 40 days of solitude, fasting, and prayer served in some capacity as preparation. So you might not think that that was self-care, but it was. It prepared him. It filled his tank for the work that he was about to do. I mean, literally, the next chapter says he starts his ministry right after that solitude time that he had for 40 days and 40 nights. Okay. And then I love the text at the end, in the Amplified version. It says the angels came and ministered to him, bringing him food and serving him. So it's like he finished that time, he passed that test, and then the angels came and he was replenished with everything he needs. And then boom, he starts his ministry. He's promoted. He starts his ministry. Okay. He goes out. God sends him out. All right. He rested when he was tired. During his journey to Galilee, Jesus stops and the disciples continue. They continued the journey to find food for lunch. Jesus rested when his body needed it. So not only did he take care of himself from a spiritual standpoint, a soul care standpoint, with the fasting, with the time of solitude, but when he was tired, he stopped and let others continue. You need to stop and let others work for you, right? Work for you. You need to stop when you're tired and depend on someone else to get it done. And lastly, as a part of his ministry, we know he loved people, but he also carried the sorrow of others, and he grieved. And we know he grieved when his cousin died. So he took time away to be alone and grieve, giving himself time to process before continuing. And so often, because we're working, and so a lot of things happen in our love for people and the serving as ministers, and we keep going. But Jesus stopped and grieved before continuing, and we need to do the same. So my last question for you, but I think we've answered this throughout the presentation, is what is one new wellness goal or a new decision? Remember, we don't balance, we decide, right? So what new decision can you make this year based on what you've learned in this presentation? And then I'll leave you with this quote. I'm the leader of my life. If I don't lead my life, then life will lead me. I will manage stress as a lifestyle. I am committed to staying well. So you are the leader of your life. If you don't lead your life, then life will lead you. Manage your stress as a lifestyle and remain committed to staying well. That is my talk. I am Tiffany Jones, and you can reach me at tiffanynunnally.com, or it's Tiffany Jones on IG. Thank you so much, Candi. And
Hey, Tiff, can you go back 2 slides?
Yes.
Right there. The question that we need to be asking ourselves. Make sure that you have snapped a picture so that you can take some time to process that, to really think about what is your wellness goal or a new decision that you've made today after listening to this. This has been exactly what I needed. I don't know about everybody else, but this has been exactly what I needed. And there was some really good dialogue in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining, for engaging. Let us know if you want to hear more about more around this topic. The invitation to be is next month, March 20th. Registration will go up on our website tomorrow. So be on the lookout. I hope you will tell a friend. I hope you will invite a friend. Everyone else, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for joining us. I pray that your soul care becomes everything that you need it to be, that your will be as balanced as it can be, and that God continues to fuel you to do the work that you have been called to do in this season of your life. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have an amazing day.
Thank you, guys.
As the church, we're called to direct the thirsting world to living water. However, with so much going on in the world, it's so easy to feel overwhelmed, disconnected, and like you're pouring from an empty cup. At SBC 21, we are here to help you reimagine, revitalize, and repurpose the cups you pour from while providing transformational resources. We also envision a world where every church is equipped, prepared, and unapologetic in building the beloved kingdom of God. We strengthen leaders and congregations to transform communities through leadership development, discipleship-making systems, revitalization, and real-time social justice ministry. Ultimately, we seek to make disciples of Jesus Christ to serve and heal a hurting world. So regardless of what cup you bring to the table, SBC 21 is here to help with resources full of living water. For more information, please visit sbc21.org.